Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Let's thank our members first: Invictus, Crazy Book Cuts, Interceptor, Richardson, Danny Cage, and Rupert, our Foxhound Patreons and Fulcrum members. Be a member. Thank you guys for being members. Be a patron, and thank you guys for being patrons as well. Subscribe and let's get into it. So today we are going to kind of make another video on the kind of feeding the game kind of series. It's not really a series, but still. It's something that I am doing for some vehicles. I did with the MiG-29 and the Tornado. And I did one kind of in the F-15, saying that the F-15 that was not that really... That was not really the point, but still, we talked a little bit about the F-15. But more realistic, I still think that the three aircraft that we will see first, fourth generation wise, is the MiG-29, is the Tornado, and the F-16. That's the only reason why I think that. It's because if you add these three, I already said this in other videos, but if you add these three aircraft, you basically cover up most of the nations with fourth generation aircraft. So the US already has the F-14, but it will have the F-16 as well. Germany will have the MiG-29, A912A, you know. USSR, obviously MiG-29, maybe the 913 would be 13, would be nice. The UK, I mean, obviously Tornado ADV, nothing else to say about it. Japan is a problematic one right now. You wouldn't have anything like right now, but it can receive better missiles to the JK. And in the future, receive the F-15J. I think it would be the best option. But in the future, we are only talking about these three aircraft that I told you guys. Then for France, we have the Mirage 2000 already. For Italy, we will have the F-16. For China, we will have the F-16 as well. And we can have some other variants of other aircraft, you know, but in the future for the mainland China, but still. For Sweden, obviously, the vegan is kind of what it is right now and what's going to be right now. In the future, obviously, can get the Gripen, but this is in really far future. The F-18C can be added. Maybe if they add the Danish, they can add the F-16 as well. So there's some options there, you know. But in general, we will be just the vegan for now. Then we have Israel, obviously F-16, you know. And yeah, basically this is it, you know. All these nations, and Italy obviously can also have the Tornado. But with all of these, I think we have 10 nations, right, in the game. At the start, if we receive these three aircraft, it's just three aircraft, 8 of them will have fourth generation aircraft, including on what we have right now with the Mirage, for example. We can kind of include the vegan as a fourth generation aircraft, since a lot of people consider it a fourth generation aircraft. A lot of people don't. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like this idea of generations in aircraft, right? But even with that, the vegan can be considered one, so it would be 9-ish. And Japan, obviously, it would be one of the first nations to receive the F-15 as well, so it would be shortly after receiving the F-15 as well, right? But the point is that with these three aircraft, 8, technically 9 aircraft, will have fourth generation aircraft. Can you imagine that? So it just makes sense, right? It makes sense that these three aircraft are the first being added. It is actually weird that we didn't see any of these three yet, to be honest. Because we even saw the Mirage 2000 in the game. But that just makes sense, right? Because the Mirage 2000 was kind of needed in the French tech tree. I mean, remember how the French Mirage F1 flies. And you will kind of consider that it is a good idea to actually have such an aircraft in the French tech tree, right? But beyond that, I mean, there's not much reason why we should add any other aircraft beyond that. I mean, we can see the MiG-25 and others like that, but still, these three are the main ones, you know? And then we have the F-16. We did a video on the Tornado, on the MiG-29, and now we're going to talk about the F-16. The F-16, it's an aircraft that I think it is the most logical one to be the first fourth generation now onwards, you know? Even more than the MiG-29, because even though the MiG-29... I will not say that it's needed, because the MLA and the MLD can hold its ground against anything if you are doing things correctly, you know. But still, a MiG-29, it is kind of needed. People really want it more than it's needed, right? But in the Tornado as well, the Tornado is even more than the MiG-29 needed, you know, in the sense that the UK and Italy, I mean, the UK is flying Harriers and Phantoms in top tier, and Italy is flying the F-104S ASA, right? So, yeah, the Tornado would be the most, like, important one to be added first, right? But the F-16, man, it's one of those that, even if it's added right now, if it's added correctly, it won't be that OP, and it would be very, very good, a very, very good addition, because a lot of nations can have it. So, as I said, the US, Italy, China, and Israel initially could receive it. Obviously, Japan with the F2 later, but still. And even Sweden with the Danish sub-3 if it's added in any time. So the F-16 is an aircraft that can be covering a lot of ground in the sense of adding 4th generation aircraft. The same ways as the F4 did back in the day, or even Sabres, or even the F-104. More like the F-104. A lot of nations received the F-104 back in the day, you know, and the sense of the F-16 would be the same, you know. A lot of nations would receive it, even though they are different versions. Each nation would receive a different version, and that's even a fun thing, because every nation can have its own variant, you know, with a little bit, tiny bit different from each other. But they are just, depending on the variant, they can be very, very balanced. If a MiG-29 is not added, for example, the F-16, or even, I mean, let's consider first the game as it is. The F-16 right now. Yeah, it will be kind of OP, you know, it would be necessary to have counters to it, but they could add it with some limitations at first, without BVR, for example, or something like that, until we receive more stuff, or even with old BVR missiles, like the AIM-7F, you know. It's a missile, I mean, these old F-16As that I'm mainly talking about, they can't even take too many of these barrels. They can even take only 2, if I'm not mistaken. So, and all of them can use the AIM-7F. The AIM-7F, I know it's a very good missile, but only 2 of them. I mean, the radar is going to be similar to the Kai, right? So in the BVR, it's not going to be that much different from the Kai that we already have, and the Kai has 4 of those missiles. So, yeah, I think it's in the BVR department, probably not going to be OP, right? The radar is not something incredibly OP, you know. It's a very good radar, but it would be still have its problems, right? Maybe some of the variants that we receive would have TWS, which would help a lot, but more in the sense of situational awareness, not even in the actual firing of the missiles, right? Because it is still a semi-active missile. In the dogfight department, things tend to be a little bit worse. Obviously, F-16 is a fully fly-by-wired aircraft, and it is very, very good at that. The climb rate is amazing, and the performance of it would basically destroy most of the aircraft that we see in top tier right now, even if it's the A. But that can be countered with some minor changes. For example, aspect missiles for everybody, you know. I still think that we are probably going to be better off with everybody right now having all aspect missiles before we see more advanced. I mean in the opinion of that, having all aspect missiles for everybody right now, it's better than having for everybody later, after something very power creepy is added. So, for example, imagine the MiG-29 being added right now, and the F-16 and the Tornado, you know? Imagine how all of these aircraft, I mean, the MLD can hold its ground, the F-14, of course, the MLA, yeah. Even the Kai and Vegan, okay. But think about the MiG-23M. I mean, the MiG-23M already has R-60Ms, right? But think about the F-4Es. Think about the F-5s. All of these aircraft that are 11.0, 10.7, or even some of the 11.3s that don't have the better missiles. The F4F is a great example of that. The F4M or the FGR2, right? Or the the F4K. These aircraft would be destroyed by these three aircraft. So I would, in my opinion, get ahead of that problem and just deliver these weapons before we get into a position where we will need those missiles. Or they can add it together, maybe, but I really doubt it, because the way that they do it is with statistics, right? So they will wait until an aircraft is really bad in the statistics, and then they will do something about it. And statistics, even though they are very good measurement to do that, and for balancing, they're perfect almost, it has one problem. It takes a while, you know? So maybe you would wait until 6 months of being destroyed by a MiG-29, for example, until you get better AIM-9 for the F-5E, for example, or something like that. And that's just due to the BR compression. The BR compression won't be fixed from like day one of F-16s and MiG-29s added. It's most likely that these aircraft will be 11.3 or on the like top side maybe 11.7. And even with that, these aircraft will still suffer against these other ones. So against these MiG-29 and stuff. So if we received more missiles, all aspect missiles and stuff like that, it would be more fitting, right? The F-16, if it was added right now, as I said, depends on the missile. One aircraft, it's alright. With just AIM-9Ps and Sparrow Fs, it will be fine. It will be a very, very good F5 in a dogfight, you know, like an F5, but better. One more power and better AOA and stuff like that. But it's still manageable, you know. But there is the point. If when the MiG-29 is added, the F-16 still has these normal weapons and stuff, and an R-27 is coming your way, or an R-73 or whatever they want to add for these aircraft, even the F-16 will suffer a little bit. They will need an improvement, receiving AIM-9Ls, receiving the AIM-7M, and other stuff like that. The Tornado receiving the Skyflash 6000. The more 4th generation aircraft we add, the better missiles we will need. It's not like the F-16 would be OP from day one, but it definitely would need an upgrade when more stuff is added. And I'm not saying only on the F-16, all these aircraft will need. Even the MiG-29, all of them, you know. But the point is that the F-16 is the most, and the Tornado, I must say, you know, they are the most logical aircraft to be added right now with missiles that are not going to be OP. And they're not going to destroy the meta that it is right now. I still think, in my opinion, that the better option is to add all aspect missiles for every aircraft in top tier, or at least some versions of it. For example, the F5 or the F4E receiving, or the F4F, no, not the F4F, but these aircraft receiving the AIM-9P4, for example, which would be just an AIM-9P, but with all aspect sensors, you know, so it wouldn't be extremely OP. The R60Ms for the MLA, MLD, the M9L for an aircraft that cannot turn as well as the other ones, like the EJ Kai, or even the A9L for an aircraft that doesn't even have BVR, like the F4F, right? We needed these first, because then when the F-16 is added, they can just add the AIM-9L and the AIM-7M, for example, and it's fine with it. Once we get the MiG-29, it's already good that we are going to get the R-27 and the R-60M, or even better. It doesn't matter too much, because we already at that step up, you know? So, in my opinion, I think the F-16 should be added as soon as possible, just because it is the main aircraft that can be added to fill the maximum amount of holes. You know, I still think that a patch with these three, the Tornado, the MiG, and the F-16 would be the best option. But if it's one to be added, I still think that the F-16 may be the first one, just because you can fill 4 nations with it. And the Tornado and the MiG-29, remember the Tornado, the ADV, Germans never used that, so the Tornado ADV and the MiG-29 would only fill 2 nations each. So imagine, the Tornado plus the MiG-29 is the same nations that are being filled as the F-16 with 1 aircraft, you know? So I just think that the F-16 would fit perfectly right now, and it wouldn't be OP. Just in the dogfight, it probably would be very, very good. But it's not something out of the world, you know. I still think that we have to be scared of aircraft like the F-15, the MiG-29, and Su-27. Aircraft like that are more capable in a dogfight in general, but it's not like the F-16 is bad, right? It's an amazing aircraft as well. So yeah, that's my opinion on how the F-16 would fit. I still think that with the right weapons, it can be added right now, even though it would be OP, kinda. But if everybody has all aspect missiles, it could receive its full potential and fight a MiG-29 when added as well with its full potential without being OP or being weak, okay? But basically, this is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe, and I see you guys on the next one. So bye, guys. See ya.